The Senate has stepped down a motion sponsored by Senator Alin Dume on the alleged Christian genocide narrative in Nigeria, citing the sensitivity of the issue. Senator Ndume had urged the Senate to engage the U.S. Congress and other international bodies to correct what he described as a misconception about religious persecution in the country. He maintained that Nigeria's security challenges are complex and multidimensional, stressing that they should not be framed along religious lines.
Concerned about the increasing circulation, both domestically and internationally, of the narrative alleging an ongoing Christian genocide in Nigeria, amplified by some advocacy groups, foreign media, and religious networks. Also concerned that such narrative, though often arising from genuine concern, risks oversimplifying Nigeria's security challenges, deepening sectorial suspicion, and creating negative perception of the country in the international community. Note that Nigeria continues to face insurgency, terrorism, banditry, communal violence, and criminal attacks, which have tragically claimed the lives of both Christians and Muslims.
Several lawmakers spoke in support of the motion, sharing their experiences of peaceful coexistence between Christian and Muslim communities in their districts.
We need to understand the tactics and the practice of the terrorists. And we must now engage the executive about counterterrorism, because the argument is that most of the launch counterterrorism approach are not sufficient enough to actually engage the terrorists.
Unfortunately, where I come from, there's no church that was ever banned. People killed in Sokoto and Paraka. No, not all of them are Muslims and not Christians. This information, Mr. President, cannot be allowed to continue as it is. We must take decisive steps to ensure that we readdress the reality of what is ongoing in Nigeria, that the global community will have true education of what Nigeria is or what Nigeria should be, what its position is in Nigeria.
I think as a parliament, we must take a position and we must join hands with the government to inform the US and the US Congress that the position they are taking is not in tandem with the reality of what is going on.
Senate President Godswill Akpabio welcomed the motion and agreed it highlighted the urgent need for previously proposed National Security Conference.
We are facing a situation whereby these terrorists are trying to terminate the lives of Nigerians and then, of course, frustrate us from going into the farms, producing food to feed ourselves. So this discussion will be better in a closed session, and I think at the end of the day, we should actually have a small team that should visit our colleagues and also put the other side, because some people must have gone there to give a one-sided story. And at the end, it will now look as if only Christians are being killed by terrorists in Nigeria. But I can tell you that a lot of Muslims have lost their lives in the last 5-10 years. The same way Christians have also lost their lives. So my personal opinion is that Nigerians have lost their lives as a result of insurgencies, banditry, and others.
The Senate leader moved to schedule the executive session for Tuesday, October 14, a motion seconded by Bauchi Central lawmaker Senator Abdul Ningi, and it was adopted by the Senate.
Senate, it is our conviction that the insecurity problem, the insecurity challenge in Nigeria is not religion-driven. And having said that, as a resolution on the basis of our discussion here, that we will now step down further consideration of this motion, especially the prayers, till the next legislative day, which is Tuesday next week, when we can have our executive session, to discuss these prayers as well as other related matters, and also our impending security summit.
I second the motion most appropriately that this motion is unanimously agreed, adopted, but proper reaction to this motion should be stepped down until when we have an executive session on Tuesday next week to come up with appropriate mechanisms in dealing with this matter.
And accepted by the Senate, but further legislative actions should be postponed to Tuesday next week, when we can have executive sessions to have a comprehensive discussion on ways and means of responding to the international threats to Nigeria, particularly where insecurity in Nigeria is multifaceted and not only religious driven, but very complex, so that we can come up with a proper strategy that will not only address the issues, but also clean the image of Nigeria, so that we don't criminalize any particular section or any particular religion. Those in support of this submission say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
This marks a significant step in addressing religious tensions through dialogue and policy in Nigeria's upper chambers.